And an impending port strike along the East Coast and Gulf could force tens of thousands of dock workers off the job tomorrow. It would be the first strike since 1977 from this union, and it could have significant impacts on the American supply chain. This comes as holiday shopping season kicks into gear. Senior Director of Economic Research at Moody's Analytics, Adam Kamins, joins me now for more on this. Adam, thanks for being on. I want to start with the products that will be impacting by the strike. What are we talking about here in terms of specific areas, and how do you think this will affect everyday Americans?
Sure. So thank you for having me. The products that we're most concerned about, so it's a wide range of products, but I would be looking specifically at food imports. Products like bananas, cocoa beans used to make chocolate, cherries, a lot of those are going to be affected. The ports that are going to be affected are very important in automotive supply chains, so automobile production could be affected. Other items like furniture, some other food and drinks could be part of this. And the ports that are going to be affected are primarily those in the East Coast and the Gulf Coast, right? So there are about 36 ports that are going to be affected by this, and the impacts could be significant.
So what will shipping delays and supply shortages mean? I mean, for anyone, but especially for holiday shopping?
So it depends how long this strike lasts. If it lasts for a week, maybe 2 weeks, it means that there may be some shortages of products that probably are alleviated by the time we get closer to holiday season. So maybe you have to wait a little bit longer to buy whatever it is you're looking for. If it goes much more than that, then we're talking about more significant shortages and some upward pressure on prices. Now, I don't think this is going to be hugely impactful on inflation, getting anything near what we saw the last few years, but it does mean that prices will start to kind of tick higher at a faster rate again, which is really the last thing we need in the economy at this moment.
Now, an extended strike could drive prices higher. So what would that mean for inflation, and what are retailers trying to do to prepare for this?
Sure. So a lot of retailers and shippers this has been coming down the pike for a while now, so they've been ready for this. There's been an acceleration of shipments over the last few months, and there's been some diversion of shipments to other ports as well. So ports on the West Coast, where possible, we're seeing retailers utilize those ports and shippers utilize those ports. We're seeing more ports in Canada and Mexico being utilized in preparation for all of this. So there are some steps that are being taken by these retailers and by other folks in the supply chain. Still, though, there is only so long you can kind of offset the loss of what's going to be about half of container imports in the U.S. So that ultimately means that prices would begin to move a little bit higher, and consumers will begin to see at least some of those effects, and some of the progress that we've made over the last few years in fighting inflation may be kind of slightly undercut a little bit.
Now, the Federal Reserve is expected to continue cutting interest rates. If this strike happens, could that derail those plans?
It could. So I see that as a little bit of a risk. Now, the strike would need to drag on for quite some time, right? We would need to see the strike probably go on for at least a couple weeks, maybe a month or more, and for us to see at least some evidence that prices are beginning to reaccelerate. If that happens, then the Federal Reserve, which just a few weeks ago pivoted to moving interest rates somewhat aggressively lower and trying to spur demand in the economy, they're going to have to think twice about that, because the last thing they want to do is continue to cut interest rates, give more fuel to inflation, and undo a lot of the progress that's been made on that front. So I don't expect that the Federal Reserve will raise rates again, but I do expect that they will potentially slow the rate at which they are cutting interest rates.
All right, Senior Director of Economic Research at Moody's Analytics, Adam Kamins, thank you.